Hello, everyone. This is the District Convention Awards webinar. So first, some quick logistics before we get started. The sign-in sheet has already been set in the chat, but we ask that you wait till about halfway through the webinar before you fill it out, just so that we can get your thoughts and feedback on how effective this webinar is. And if at any point during the webinar you have a question, please raise your Zoom hand. There's no need for you to wait till the end for us to ask you if there are any questions. It's because we will just not be monitoring the chat during the presentation. So if you would prefer to ask a question through the chat, you may do so at the end. And now we will introduce ourselves. I am Austin, your District Member Recognition and Education Chair, and I'm currently a fourth year at UC Berkeley, majoring in economics and political economy. So 2 years ago, I was the club treasurer for Berkeley Circle K, and last year I was actually Berkeley Circle K's club membership development and education chair, as well as the executive assistant of the district membership development education committee. And for the purposes of this Decon Awards webinar, when I was the club MD&E chair for Berkeley, I actually applied for and earned the John Woodall Distinguished MD&E Award. I also earned the Distinguished Appointed Board Officer Award, as well as the Outstanding District Committee Member Award. And so I'm really excited to be here today and give you all my thoughts and tips when it comes to navigating Decon Awards. And a fun fact about myself, where I pass it off to Elizabeth, is that I once got a hairline fracture while skiing, and that made me really not want to do winter sports for a long time, and still even now today. All right, go ahead, Elizabeth.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Brumberg. I am at San Jose State University majoring in mechanical engineering. I'm a third year. I currently serve as our district member recognition and education committee's executive assistant, as well as my home club's president and acting secretary. In the immediate past term, I served as our club secretary and received the Distinguished Secretary Award. And a fun fact about myself is that I own over 100 games on Steam. So just to go over a little bit about what are district awards. So district awards are basically a form of recognition that anyone can apply for, whether it be a general member, an officer, or a club, in order to gain recognition at the district level. And so there's a variety of different awards that everyone can apply for to focus on different areas of expertise. And so whether it's your first year, you're in the middle of your college education, or you're at the end, you can apply. So make sure that if you're interested or you feel like you would be able to be recognized for some of your efforts, go ahead and apply. We're certain that you'll at least be considered or really close in contention. So everything's worth it to apply.
All right. So before we get into the main thick of our content for today, I'll just quickly answer some myths and frequently asked questions when it comes to district awards. So a common misconception about awards I've experienced during my time here in Circle K is that the FTC chair or the Decon chair manages the awards for their respective events, or like the communications and marketing chair would be in charge of managing the Outstanding Club Media Award, the tech chair, the Outstanding Club Website Award. Well, this is unfortunately false. The member recognition team manages all awards. In fact, if you're to reach out to Yvette, who's our Decon chair, about like a question about Decon awards, she'll likely just refer you back to me. And some of you might be wondering if something can be edited or changed about an award at this moment, or you're wondering that like I probably have the authority to change things on my own. That's actually false. While I do have great influence over awards by being able to propose changes to them, all award changes actually have to be approved by voting district board members at a district board meeting. Though you can always send ideas and suggestions to me or in our feedback form, which I'll provide for the link later on in this webinar, for me to propose at a district board meeting. And also, if some of you are wondering who actually determines whether or not you receive an award, it is Kiwanis and alumni, Circle K alumni specifically, who judge awards. There is no Circle K member involved whatsoever, including me, in the judging process. What my role is just assigning Kiwanis alumni, like what specifically they're judging, and just collecting their scores and whatnot. So hopefully, now that you know who the audience is, hopefully you could know, like, probably tailor your answers towards them. And if you already submitted an award, but you realized later on that you need to like make some minor edits or changes, so you could only make basically changes or edits before the awards deadline. Ideally, what you submit should be the final version. But if it's like small edits, feel free to just email me with what you would like changed before the deadline passes. But if it's like many huge changes, like a whole like essay, it's probably that'll be best for you to just resubmit the award before the deadline. And of course, no edits or changes will be accepted after the deadline has passed.
So what are the district convention awards? Well, as you can see, we have a huge list of both individual and club and divisional awards that you can apply for, including various distinguished recognitions. And we'll be going over those in a little bit. And here is the link to the master sheet for all of the different awards. So if you find yourself interested in applying for a particular award that we go over tonight, then make sure that you go to this link in order to gain access to each individual application for the awards.
And yes, so some of you might be wondering when our Decon awards due. I just spoke about it earlier. So all awards except for the Outstanding Traditional Scrapbook Award are due on Sunday, February 19th at 11:59 p.m. PST. And it's important that the award is submitted like by that exact minute. Unfortunately, if it's submitted on midnight on February 20th, that will be late and it will not be accepted. Yes, as you can see here, there's no extension of submission given for any reason. So because of this, we encourage you to submit your award once you're done with it at an earlier date. Please don't wait till February 19th if you don't have to. And that way to just prevent any emergencies or technicalities that arise from meeting the deadline. And if your club is considering applying for the Outstanding Traditional Scrapbook Award, you'll actually turn in your club scrapbook as well as the paper application along with it on site at Decon on March 24th at 6 p.m. in Riverside, California. But if you anticipate not being able to arrive by or before 6 p.m., feel free to send me an email. And so I will probably work with your club to find solutions to this. And yes, you would drop off your scrapbook at the registration table. That's where I'll be collecting them. And now you're probably wondering, why should you apply for an award? So like really, when you apply for an award, it's your chance to acknowledge and reflect on all the hard work that your club has achieved throughout this term. And you could be recognized and acknowledged in front of the entire district at Decon during awards night on Saturday of Decon. And it really does help unite your club board members. You celebrate the end of the term. If your name is called on stage, you will congratulate each other on what we have all accomplished. And you actually probably inspire other members in your club with a sense of pride to do the best that they can in Circle K. And also, earning an award is like a reminder to your members of your club of all the accomplishments and pride that come with being a Circle K member. And also it creates like a want for your club's members to continue on a legacy for years to come. And even if you just apply for an award, if you apply for an award but you unfortunately do not earn it, this can like really greatly boost your credibility when you're pursuing leadership positions. This relates to my earlier points. When you're working on an award, you reflect on how your term has went, how things could have gone differently, and those are definitely good ideas that you would probably bring with you into the next term. And now we're actually going to do a quick demo on how to save Google Sheets as a PDF. This is actually something that I noticed that quite a few members were a little bit confused on, but essentially you just read and follow all the directions listed on the Google Sheet, but we'll do a quick live demonstration right now. So yes, so this is my completed Google Sheet here. And so essentially, you would just read the directions and follow them. So as you can see here, how to convert into PDF. So you would select the tabled cells. This is a common step that a lot of people tend to skip. They would immediately skip to question 2, file and do the hover download thing without selecting the tabled cells. And that would just create something like this, essentially. Yeah, you won't, as you can see, like it creates a lot of extra pages that you won't be able to remove from when you save your document. But when you select the tabled cells and then follow through with step 2, you should be able to remove all these extra pages. So step 3, change export, which is right here, from current sheet to selected cells. Yes, this is something that a lot of members also tend to skip, leaving all these extra pages. It's just to give the judge for your award an easier time to read and understand what is included on this attachment. So selected cells, and that will get rid of all this extra unnecessary pages in your attachment. And finally, have your page orientation on portrait. It'll actually make it a lot bigger and more easier for your judge to read. And finally, you would export. Yeah, just a quick reminder to follow all the directions listed here on the Google Sheet when you're saving it as a PDF. All right, and just some informal form stack announcements. If you're a club leader, you might have already seen this already. If you currently at this moment right now have any like written work or any other things like saved on an awards form stack form, actually go ahead and copy, paste, and save your work on a separate documented file. Unfortunately, due to some challenges outside of my control, unfortunately, will not be administering awards on FormStack, and actually a formal announcement about that will go out tomorrow. And so the FormStack forms will actually be closed tonight, which is why if you have any work saved, urgently go ahead and save your work on a separate place. Yeah, and now I'll pass it off to Elizabeth to go over our individual awards.
All right, thank you, Austin. So we'll be going, or I'll be going over these individual awards, and a lot of them have some similar items. So I'll be starting off with going into some of the more general criteria. So overall, across all of the individual awards, you need to have attendance from all different types of Circle K events. Some of these include last year's DCon, this year's STC, FTC, the District Professional Development Conference, which is coming up at the end of the month, as well as any DCMs, general meetings, and other Kiwanis family events that you or your club members or anyone who is applying for these awards has attended. To help with the keeping track of attendance, make sure to ask either your club secretaries or other managers for the individual page from your club's master record sheet as soon as possible to help assist you. While you can report events up to February 18th of this term, it's very helpful to try and get started on listing out all of the events from the term since you go all the way back to March 1st of last year. And other questions that are asked for each individual award are related to your dedication and to Circle K's initiatives, ideals, and education. So this can include at the club level, division level, or the district level for some, depending on which award that you're applying to. And so particularly for distinguished awards, these are the main things that you're going to need when you're filling out this application. So across all of the distinguished awards, you will need to have attendance from events, as I mentioned earlier, from March 1st of 2022 to February 18th of 2023. Now, even though we haven't reached that point in the term yet, you can still start reporting events from March 1st onwards. The other thing that you might need for applying to these awards is media assets. So say you applied, or say you submitted an article or posted something or provided media to a video compilation, anything that got published on a Circle K related platform, such as Sunburst or on one of our district's Instagram page or Sunny TV, anything like that can be considered as a media asset. The other thing that you need to have for awards is the individual page of your master record sheet. And so this will include all events from that you have attended as part of your term. The last two items on this are the most intensive, and you should start asking people now. So you will need to have a letter of recommendation for all distinguished awards, with the only exception being distinguished president, which requires 2 letters of recommendation, as well as distinguished district committee chair and distinguished divisional leadership team officer, which require that you contact your committee chair and your lieutenant governor respectively. And so that just shows, that just provides the judges with added insight onto your performance and your dedication to Circle K this past term. And that you finally conclude the awards with an essay in order to explain what you have done in this term that is deserving of recognition. Next slide, please. So to go into some of the more specifics with each individual award, for a distinguished district committee member, you need to have on record your committee meetings attendance, as well as your contributions to the committee, and like I mentioned earlier, recommendations from your committee's chair. With the distinguished divisional leadership team member, you need to have all DLT meeting attendance, as well as contributions to your division and district, and like I said earlier, recommendations from your lieutenant governor. With distinguished president, you need to be able to describe things like how you've educated your board and your general members, how you've promoted fellowship in the club, promoting your attendance to club and district events, as well as the district service initiatives, district fundraising initiatives, and the international service initiatives and partners, as well as just generally supporting your board members as a whole. Distinguished secretary follows along similar lines, with this most notable distinguishing factor being meeting agendas, attendance sheets, meeting minutes, sign-up sheets, as well as MRF submissions. With distinguished treasurer, the focus is on finances. So you need to be able to describe your financial operations of the club, how you provided feedback on when the budget was needed to be changed, when you provided refunds, how were dues collected, as well as talking about if you have a fundraising chair or committee and how that helped your performance in this term, or how you were able to raise funds without having a fundraising committee or chair. And you will also need, in addition to the other documents asked for all distinguished awards, a list of all fundraisers that have been conducted in the term. For distinguished vice presidents, this one also has, you need to educate general members and support your board and form unity. But since the role of vice president can vary from club to club, you need to provide a description of your club, of your responsibilities based off of your club's bylaws. And this is the same for general vice presidents of administration, and vice presidents of service. With general vice presidents or vice presidents of administration, you will also need to provide a list of committees that are that your club has, or if you are the if you're the vice president of service, you need to describe how you worked with a service chair or a service committee, or were able to maintain service events without having these options, as well as a list of 5 different service projects that were conducted by the club during the term. With the Dillon Huynh Distinguished Appointed Board Officer, you are basically describing how, as an appointed board officer, you were able to become a part of the board and help out the club as much as possible, as well as fulfill your respective duties and specific events, projects, and activities as your club demands. With the New Member of the Year award, you are trying to showcase that as a new member of the year, you were able to prove that your dedication was promoting Circle K's ideals and principles based off of what you have done throughout the course of your term thus far, even if you've only just joined. So this award is open to all new members of Circle K for the 2022-2023 term, even if they served on some sort of board position at the club, district, or international level. And so you have to have joined our district within this current term. So that means you have joined during or after April of 2020. And the specific date that you have joined Circle K is asked when you apply for this award. The requirements are very similar to the Distinguished Awards, where you need to have attendance from all of your events, provide any media that you submitted to Circle K, as well as descriptions of your involvement with the club and a letter of recommendation and an essay. The returning general member of the year highlights a returning general member instead of a new member. And so this is open to all returning members who are not officers on the board, who are not officers on a club, district, or international board. However, any members of a district committee or a DLT are eligible. You have to have joined Circle K prior to April 2022 of this year. And the specific date will also be requested when you apply for this award. And the requirements that are needed for the returning general member of the year are exactly the same as with the new member of the year. With the John Nicholson Kiwanis of the Year Award, this is the highest award or the highest honor that our district of Circle K provides to a Kiwanian, and that is presented to a Kiwanian who best exemplifies the spirit of fellowship to the Kiwanis family. So if you or your club is trying to nominate a Kiwanian for this award, you must also have your club apply for the Don Hall Distinguished Kiwanis Family Relations Award. And so while this award does not require the MRS, you also need to have attendance of this Kiwanian at Circle K events, a letter of recommendation, and any supplemental materials that you find necessary to attach to this award. With the Rick Thing, pardon me if I mispronounced this, with the Rich Thingpin Faculty Advisor of the Year Award, this can be nominated by any club or individual. Any faculty advisor may be nominated who was considered a valuable resource and liaison for the club and Circle K in general, as well as exemplifying the spirit of fellowship in both words and actions. So if your club's faculty advisor was a recipient last year, they are not eligible to receive the award again. However, if your club feels that they should be considered again next term, that is a possibility. Like the Kiwanian of the Year Award, this does not require the MRS to complete, but you do need to have attendance of your faculty advisor from Circle K events, as well as a letter of recommendation, and again, any supplemental materials that you wish to provide.
All right,
I'll pass it off to Austin.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for going over all those individual awards. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand and interrupt us, or you can wait till the end for our question and answer session. these are the club awards listed on the right-hand side that we will go over today. We won't be going over all the club awards. These are just probably the most important ones that most clubs will consider applying for. So first, the Camille Goulet Distinguished Club and Outstanding Total Achievement Award. So if your club is applying for this, just know that this is two separate awards, but one application. So there are two mandatory supplements for this award: the John Woodall Distinguished MD Award and the Don Hall Distinguished Kiwanis Family Relations Award. So if your club is considering applying for these two awards, this is definitely something you do not want to procrastinate on. As you can see, there are mandatory supplements. So in regards specifically to the Outstanding Total Achievement Award by itself, so a club must first earn the Distinguished Club Award in order to be eligible to receive the Outstanding Total Achievement Award. And specifically for this Outstanding Total Achievement Award, clubs are sorted into 4 divisions based on membership. It's like increments of 25. And within each of these 4 divisions, first, second, and third place will be awarded. So for the Outstanding Total Achievement Award, there can be up to 12 recipients. It will be, again, very helpful to have your MRF, your club event report forms, and your MRS ready on hand to when you're filling out this award application. Also, so just some additional information that this award asks for. It'll ask what or any media assets that you submitted or that was submitted and published on any district media related platform, your communication with district officers, your lieutenant governor, for example, is a district officer. I'm also a district officer. You can list me on there as well. And also, if any of your club members presented a webinar or a workshop at any divisional, district, or international event. So like, for example, if Elizabeth's club's applying for this award, they can mention that Elizabeth presented this webinar. And also section 10, it asks for essays about 6 different service projects that your club has hosted, but it's about 6 different projects in various categories. So if you want to apply for this award, I really recommend just quickly skip ahead to section 10 and look at all 6 different service project categories and probably start planning a specific event for a specific category if your club hasn't already hosted events that fit a particular category. And yeah, I know 6 is a lot, but it used to be 7. But this year, a change I proposed was to make it to take away one category, or like basically combine 2 categories into one. And now for the Distinguished Club Improvement Award. So if your club is a newly chartered club, unfortunately, you're not eligible to apply for this award as the name implies. It recognizes clubs who improved based on the previous term. And so last year's recipients of this specific award, as well as the Outstanding Total Achievement Award, are only eligible to apply if they moved up into like a new division, like based on the membership I mentioned earlier. It's like brackets of 25. And really, so the first 3 sections of the award is purely kind of statistical. So you consult your MRF, your MRS, and even your dues payment records. You're essentially just inputting numbers of your dues pay members, your service hours, and attendance to district events. And sections 4 and 5 are like the real bread and butter of this award. You're listing new events and Kiwanis family activities that happened this term that didn't happen in previous term. And in 500 words max, you will also describe how your club progressed and improved. And just a recommendation from us for section 4, I recommend that you try to aim to list around 10 events in each of the 3 categories listed in section 4. And now the Don Hall Distinguished Kiwanis Family Relations Award. So this is a very important award because it's a mandatory supplement for 3 different awards: the Outstanding Total Achievement Award, which I just went over previously, the Distinguished Kiwanis Club Award, as well as the John Nicholson Kiwanian of the Year that Elizabeth mentioned earlier. So if your club is thinking about applying for any of those 3 awards, just know that you also need to apply for this award in order to be eligible to enter those awards contests. So for section 1, it will just ask about your sponsoring Kiwanis Club attendance, like the district events they came out to, as well as any Circle K meetings they attended. Section 2, you would actually list all the different Kiwanis family meetings your club members attended. Section 3, you would list all your club events that had members of another Kiwanis family branch there present. Section 4 is your club's attendance to Kiwanis family programs, and section 5 explaining like specific Kiwanis family programming, like Kiwanis One Day, if you host a key to college, and if you worked with like any other branches besides Kiwanis and Key Club. And I recommend that if your club did participate in Kiwanis One Day and you did host a key to college, that you will have the opportunity to provide supplements, and you should provide them if possible. And just to clarify, for the purpose of this award, Kiwanis family is like members that are non-Circle K, so like Kiwanis, Key Club, Action Club, Builders Club, which is for middle schoolers, and K Kids for elementary school kids. And then now the John Woodall Distinguished Mentor Development and Education Award, which is also one of the 2 supplements required for the Camille Goulet Distinguished Club and Outstanding Total Achievement Award. So this one is, well, I have worked on, as you tell from my intro, if you remember from my intro, I worked on applying for this award last term, and it is quite a long, extensive award. So especially if your club is applying for this award or the Camille Goulet Distinguished Club Award, this is something you do not want to procrastinate on, because it's really kind of long and extensive, ask a lot of different questions and supplements. So for section 1, you would basically just go over like, how did you recruit members? And I would recommend that you provide publicity materials that you use in recruitment, like maybe you made a graphic advertising welcome week, or like maybe you tabled and you pass out a flyer, include that flyer as well. And I would recommend that you probably just put all of your publicity materials or graphics or whatnot on just like a single Google Doc to submit the award. And for section 2, you would just talk about all your different membership programs. So new member installation, if you had one, your mentor-mentee program, big, little, and families. If your club had any minimum membership requirements, totally okay to say none. UC Berkeley Circle K actually earned this particular award last year as well as 2 years ago, and literally when I was working on this award both years, we just said we don't have any. But we just want people to come out for the fun of it, and that worked out in there. That's because we got the award both years. So don't be worried if your answer to that is none. And how your club recognized members, as well as how many members in your club achieved an MRP tier. Section 3 is any educational workshops you hosted on the club level, just the club level. As you might remember from what I said earlier, any webinars or workshops on divisional, district, or international level, that's already mentioned on the Camille Goulet and Outstanding Total Achievement Award, as well as your club's attendance to various district events. Section 4 is how you use various MDNI resources on the district, international, as well as any other ways that you have resources. And if you're wondering what are the district MDNI resources, the link for that is provided right here on the slide. And section 5 and 6 is your campus and community relations respectively. So section 5 specifically, where you promote a few times in your campus's newsletter or newspaper, whatever were some of the materials that was posted on campus, as well as any other events that you did with other campus organizations. Section 6 is if you're talking about how you promoted Circle K to high school students, if you're featured in any like community newspapers, as well as if your club posted like any materials promoting Circle K in the community. And don't really be discouraged if you were not really featured in your school's newspaper or your community's newspapers. both years that I worked on and applied for this award, UC Berkeley Circle K, we were not really featured in any of the newspapers, but still in the end it worked out for us both times we were able to receive the award. And now the Maple Wong Overall Service Award. So just like the Outstanding Total Achievement Award, clubs are sorted into 4 divisions based on their membership. It's basically increments of 25. Specifically, the divisions are bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Bronze is 25 members or less. Silver is 26 through 49. And gold is 50 or 51. Yeah, one of those two numbers to 74 or 75. And then platinum is 75 or 76 and above. Yeah. And so in each of these four divisions, first, second, and third will be recognized. So meaning there could be up to 12 recipients for this award. So I really recommend that if you're like a smaller club and you really want to earn an award and you're kind of worried about, I guess, competition for like all these like different outstanding awards, or you're worried that you might not earn like particular like distinguished award, this is a great award to apply to because there are 4 different divisions, and so you're only being compared to clubs that have a similar membership count towards yours. So specifically, this is also kind of like an exhaustive award, as you can tell by the name Overall Service. So you would list events that are related to the international service partners, which are Global Brigade, Active Minds, and UNICEF, and the international services initiatives. There's 5 of them: mental health, food insecurity, and homelessness, environmental justice, and childhood development. I believe also the 5th one is UNICEF as well, or UNICEF WASH. And then events that related to our district service initiatives, which are serving the environment, community walls and equity, and our rotating DSI of youth development, community service, and campus service. The difference between both of those is that community service, we're all probably familiar with what that means, but campus service is specifically things that benefited your university's campus. Continuous service, which is just like a repetitive, or like a service project that comes down multiple times, I believe at least once a month for 3 months, I believe. And then for any service administration, so there will be like committee planning meetings, traveling to service events, as well as activism and advocacy. And the last section of this award, you would actually write 2 essays, one about how you define service and how did service impact others. Now for the Outstanding Club Media Award, so there's 4 different sections. They're all worth 25 points: newsletter, video, graphics, and social media. You actually need to prepare and provide links to basically all these different media assets, and to really give your club a good chance of earning this award, you should essentially try to provide all the media assets are asked for. So specifically for the newsletter, but beyond just providing it, your newsletter will be judged on how does it look, the content, and how it was distributed to club members. For video, how does your video appear? How does it promote your club? And you also explain the inspiration, execution, clarity of 2 different videos that your club produced. Essentially for graphics, beyond just providing them, judges will also be looking for if your club like consistently produced graphics throughout the term. And it's also very important that the graphics that you do submit for this award, that they follow the district style guide. And the link for that, you can find it on the resources section of our CNH website. And new for this year is the social media section. Essentially, how does your social media accounts look, what the content is, and then you've consistently been using it throughout the term. Now for the Outstanding Interclubbing Award, this is also like a lot of reporting numbers and then just writing a 1 essay award. So you report your meeting attendance, so CKI meeting attendance beyond your club, Kiwanis family, DCM, anything else. Section 2 is essentially you'll need to obtain from your club secretary, from the MRS, the inner clubs tab. And then section 3 is just writing or answering 2 short answer questions. How did your club promote interclubbing? And you describe like a specific interclub event that your club had. For the Outstanding Singles Project Award, also a kind of another exhaustive in detail. You're asked like basically a lot of information about one single service project that your club organized. So all the time, the members involved in all phases of the project, and you'll also answer about 5 short answer questions. So roughly 2,000 words altogether about what was the purpose of it, how did you plan it, how did you publicize it, overall how did it go, and how does it relate to the ISIs, ISPs, and DSIs. And also in your essay, you're also allowed to include up to 10 supplemental materials. And for the first time since 2018 through 2019, the Outstanding Traditional Scrapbook will hopefully be collected and judged. This award did exist for 2019 to 2020, but as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic started beginning of March of 2020. So while the Outstanding Traditional Scrapbook Award did exist, it was unfortunately never judged or awarded, and it did not exist for the previous 2 terms due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but it is back this year. So this award has a different deadline than the other awards. As I mentioned earlier, you would turn it on site at Decon in Riverside, California by 6 p.m. on the first day. And unlike the other awards where the period of events is March the 1st through February 18th, you can include events from March 1st to February 28th. Just some important rules to keep in mind. That all work must be done by CKI members. Non-CKI members can only act like in like an advisory capacity. The spending limit for your traditional scrapbook would be $250, and you'll actually be asked to list all materials and costs on section 2 of the award application. And there is a specific size that you have to keep your scrapbook into. No audio or computer equipment is involved, and also I recommend that you try to avoid copyright violations. And if you're wondering what can be included content-wise in your traditional scrapbook, I really recommend that you review the judging standards that give you an idea of what you can include in your scrapbook to give you the best chance of earning this award. And now we are just wrapping things up here. I know this was kind of long and lengthy, but we're almost there. Thank you so much for sticking with us through these past 45 minutes. So some just general tips and advice. So I really recommend that if you're applying for an award, that you aim to write clear, detailed, and persuasive responses. And as we said multiple times during this webinar, that you start early. Essentially, more detailed applications would really help your chances of earning an award. So you definitely do not want to procrastinate on awards work. I've actually reviewed, I actually had the chance to look at all of like last year's award submissions. And really, these are my 2 biggest pieces of advice. What I observed generally is that what really hindered a club or like a member from earning an award is that I could tell that they probably started late, meaning their work wasn't as detailed and thorough as possible. And yeah, and if you're working an award and if you like have any questions for us, we are hosting office hours on January 26th in 2 weeks from now, and the day before the awards deadline, February 18th from 7 to 9 p.m. on both of those days. If you're a club president or you are applying for an award, remember, or you can remind your club president to submit the endorsement sheet by the deadline, even if your club is only applying for one award. Also, remember to keep track word limits when writing answers to free response questions. It'll probably cause you a lot of stress and time if you were to write a lot for like one question, but then you realize when you're close to submitting that you have to condense it to like 250 words, which is the limit for most most of the free response questions. And I recommend that you ask like a board member or like another Circle K friend to actually review your completed application before submitting. It's always helpful to have a second set of eyes to just give it a read and probably point out things that probably be fixed or revised before it's submitted. And if applicable, if you're applying for your distinguished award, you're going to ask another board member or relevant member for a letter of recommendation. You would ask for 2 letters of recommendation if you're applying for the Distinguished President Award, and your individual MRS file your club secretary early. Just go ahead and ask for it just so that they can now take the time to review to make sure that all the events and hours listed on your individual MRS file is correct before you submit it. And yeah, and also if you're a club secretary, February 18th, February 19th, February 20th is probably a weekend that you don't want to turn off Circle K messages. You'll probably be asked by a lot of people to update the MRS, and you also need to turn in your MRS on February 20th. And so here is the district awards and MRP feedback form. So if during this webinar, there was one particular aspect about an award that you didn't like or you don't think that should be asked, well, unfortunately, we cannot change awards for this term, but it does not have to stay the same for next term. You're more than welcome to submit any feedback you have about awards on this form link that I've shown here on the slide, and it will be passed on to the next member recognition chair, and they will consider whether or not to implement your feedback for a particular award. Essentially, please give feedback. Not everything about awards has to stay the same from year to year. And yeah, this is the end of our webinar. If you have any questions for us, you're more than welcome to send me an email, mrne@cnhcirculate.org. Elizabeth's is cki.elizabethbremberg@gmail.com. Feel free to stop by office hours. Yeah, that is the end. We now have time to answer any questions you have about awards. All right, seeing as that there are no questions, we'll go ahead and stop the recording and end the webinar for tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, and I really hope this presentation and recording, if you're watching the recording, was helpful.